Welcome to Spark Sessions. I'm your host, Sonya Locke, and this girl is on fire. Today's guest is a cultural disruptor, a community builder, and a fearless entrepreneur, redefining what plant-based cuisine can look like. Kristen Corral is the co-founder of Tacotarian, a fast-growing vegan Mexican concept with national recognition, a TEDx speaker, a marketing strategist, and the creator of programs that empower founders, including her Broke Band Blueprint. Before she was a restaurateur, she built and exited the largest pet care company in Las Vegas, proving she could scale anything she touched. Her story is one of reinvention, from competitive dancer to Las Vegas showgirl to multi-business founder. Kristen has always followed courage over comfort. She built Tacotarian out of love for culture, animals, and community, proving that vegan food can honor heritage without sacrificing flavor. And in moments when the industry said no, she created her own yes, using advocacy, storytelling, and community partnerships to protect and grow what she built. Kristen, thank you so much for being here. I mean, what you have accomplished is just, you are literally on fire. Just keep on pushing through and all of that. And I am so very proud of you. And I really can't wait to hear your story a little bit more. So thank you.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much for having me.
So, I mean, first part we always start with is kind of the roots to rise and where you came from, how you pivoted and shaped and the difference, because that I think is one of the most inspiring things when we hear people's stories and somebody can hear that and know that they may have that same path. So tell me a little bit about where you started and your background and all that.
Yeah, so I grew up in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Kind of a city, but not a big city. And I, from a very young age, started out in competitive dance. So that was always what I thought I was going to do. I was like, I'm going to go move to LA or move to somewhere and be a performer. And so I did that all through high school. And then when I graduated high school, I left and worked on cruise ships for a year.
Wow.
And so I went around the world. I did a couple tours. I did a cruise ship contract. And then I landed in LA. And in LA, I was like, this is not for me. And I had a friend that was living out here in Vegas. So she was like, there's tons of opportunity in Vegas for performers. Back then there was show after show after show. And she at the time was performing in Siegfried and Roy.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, come audition for Siegfried and Roy. So I did. It was my first big audition out here. There was 350 girls back then that showed up to audition for Siegfried and Roy because it was the biggest show at the time. This was 2003.
Yeah.
And so I went and I got down to the final, I think 3 or 4. I didn't book it, but I realized, okay, this is much more my speed. This is more my style. This is I really liked it here. But I moved here with not a single idea of the city or where anything was. I just packed up all my stuff from LA. My dad flew out to help me drive this U-Haul with my cat.
Oh my God.
We just drove out here and I rented this apartment that was $400. It was I had drug dealers knocking on my door.
God.
It was so bad, the area where I ended up, but it was $400. And so I stayed there for a while. And then I ended up getting hired at Mon Ami Gabi, which is one of the best restaurants on the Strip. And this was late 2003, and that's where I met my husband. He was actually a bar back there, and he had moved here from Mexico. And at the time, his English was good, but the way he used phrases didn't make sense. So we didn't communicate very well. I don't think he understood that I liked him, and then he didn't understand that I don't know, it was very weird. So yeah, from there I performed for 10 years.
What were some of your big shows, or where did you perform
So
at?
I performed for a lot of magicians.
Oh,
some
fun.
Good and some very bad ones. I got cut in half a lot.
Oh my gosh.
I got shoved into a lot of very small boxes. For a while, I worked for Dirk Arthur, who was known for having these big cats. So there were times where you would be in an illusion with a tiger, but the tiger would be closed on one side and then you would be out and then you would get closed and then the tiger would come out. It was
Oh
wild.
my God. First of all, I love magic shows. Like we go to like all of them here. Like that's so fascinating, and I can imagine performing with a tiger. Oh my gosh.
Wild. But now knowing what I know about the animals and the animal welfare, I would not do it again. But at the time, you only know what you know, right?
Right.
So I did that for a long time. Probably the most well-known show that I did was Peep Show, which was at Planet Hollywood for about 4 years, 4.5 years with Holly Madison did it. Mel B did it for a while. So I did that for a long time. And that was actually the last show that I did.
Oh, wow. And first of all, when you said 2003, I was like, were you 2? Like, I mean,
No.
You look so young and to have such a storied career. That's just amazing. But I know that took a lot being a competitive dancer. And then what made you, like, I guess, leave, and what was your next pivot?
Yeah. So towards the end of Peep Show, I think I was like pushing 30-ish. And I knew that I couldn't keep auditioning. It just gets, honestly, people are like, oh, it's the coolest job ever. But you have to remember that it's the same show, 18 shows a week, every single night you're doing the exact same thing, and it gets exhausting.
Yeah.
And I was dealing with like a Hashimoto's, like a thyroid issue, so I was struggling with that. It was just a lot, and I was like, I don't want to do this forever. And I didn't know what else to do, but I know the only other thing that I cared about was animals.
Yeah.
So how do I merge my love of animals with something else like that isn't a desk job, right? So I found this program online called Animal Massage and Care at UNLV, and I got certified in animal massage and dog yoga.
Oh my God. I really want to try that. My dog has the worst like joints. She's way overweight.
Yeah.
And like, that
would be great for her.
Tell me about it. Tell me all about that. That is so cool.
So I figured, okay, I'm going to start this company called Little White Dog Company after my little white chihuahua that I had at the time. And so I did that, but I quickly realized there probably weren't enough ewes in the world to sustain like an animal massage whole entire business. So I pivoted and I started doing dog walking, pet sitting, all of that. So I did that for about 10 years. I quickly scaled it up to 6 figures. I just kept building and building. I added more employees. I found some mentors in the space that were really coaching on how to run, like a high level pet care business correctly. So I did all of that. I taught myself marketing. I taught myself QuickBooks. I taught myself HR, all of that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you scaled that one really large. I mean, like it was the largest one in
it still is.
Vegas.
It's still like, one of the largest pet care companies in Las Vegas. So my office manager bought me out in 2022. And so she still owns and operates it today. And it's
What's it called?
Little White Dog Company.
Oh, Little White Dog. That's amazing.
Yeah. So in 2018, I was invited on a work trip for my husband's work to Mexico City with him and some of his coworkers at the time. And so I went, and that's kind of where the idea for Tacotarian came.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, well, one, Tacotarian, but also that kind of starting over again. Like you seem to kind of keep on reinventing yourself. But first of all, let's talk about Tacotarian. Tell me about the concept, the adaptation, and what it's about. Yeah.
So Tacotarian came out of this kind of trip to Mexico City with my husband and some of his coworkers at the time that were going on an R&D trip for their other restaurant group. And 2 of the other coworkers, Dan and Regina, which is also a husband and wife, and the 2 of us got to talking about, wouldn't it be nice to do like our own restaurant? And my husband's from Mexico, Regina's from Mexico, so they felt very passionate about doing Mexican food. But I was living this plant-based lifestyle, and so I was like, there's really a gap. There's really a gap for well-done plant-based food. Because you see a lot of like vegan restaurants that tend to be like hippie-ish or feel exclusive or not inclusive.
Yeah.
And there needed to be something in the space that was for everybody, but it just happened to be made from plants. So that's where that idea came from.
That's really brilliant. And you're bringing that, and you've grown that one very large. I mean, obviously, you've done something right because you have how many locations here now? Yeah,
so we have 5 in Las Vegas and 1 in San Diego, and we are now franchising, so growing and growing.
Wow. What's your favorite item on the menu?
The pastor taco or the chorizo taco.
Wow. And you're also expanding it like on a retail basis too, so you have more national coverage, right?
Yeah, so we kept getting asked this question like, hey, when are you going to open a Tacotarian near me? Because we would have people that obviously come to Las Vegas, and then they're like, well, I want this in North Carolina. And before we decided to franchise, we were just thinking, how can we get this into everybody's hands? And the answer was through retail.
Yeah.
So we figured out, it took us about 30 rounds, about 2 years to figure out how to make our exact restaurant quality taco fillings and put them in a pouch. Basically a shelf stable pouch that I can ship it. You can take it camping. You can take it traveling.
Oh, wow.
You can take it wherever you need to. And you open it, heat it up, and it's the exact same as what you would get in our restaurants.
Wow. But you didn't come from the restaurant industry. How did you learn all this stuff?
I didn't learn all the stuff. I'm still learning all the stuff. But fortunately, my husband and my other 2 partners did come from the restaurant. So they've been working in restaurants for 20 years. So I've learned a lot from them. But I also just continue to learn. That's fun for me. I enjoy it. So I'm always trying to pick up new skills and new things that I can use to better myself.
I mean, we always talk about the different challenges, and sometimes it's those failures that actually bring us our biggest success. So I like to talk about like the burn, and with you, you're definitely a person of reinvention continuously. But let's talk about, I guess, those moments that tried you, or those challenges that you've had, and how you overcame those to make you stronger in who you are.
I mean, gosh, there's so many, honestly. On a professional level, I think that my background in competitive dance and performance really taught me a lot about how to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And, when I got into my early adulthood, before I started my pet care business, I was kind of mad at myself for going that route and not maybe going to college and getting a business degree, because I felt like I was so far behind. But now when I look at it, I realize that taught me so much more about life and business and how to operate in tough times than anything else. Because when you have to stand up in front of 300 girls like I did in Siegfried and Roy and audition your butt off to like be number one, it teaches you how to compete, how to fail, how to accept failure when you don't get it. So I think those aspects of my early childhood and adulthood really shaped who I am, because it makes me very driven. Yeah. It's just naturally, I'm so much more. Fun fact, we did a personality test one time for the businesses, and it came back that I was more competitive than 98% of the population.
I could totally see that. But no, I mean, competitive dance, like my daughter, she was in competitive gymnastics and cheer, and often it was the same time period that they would have the dance and the gymnastics together. Oh my gosh. I mean, like the amount of work those athletes go through, people don't realize it. I mean, you probably had to spend 20 hours in the gym every week and being perfected and
picked apart.
Yes. Growing up in that environment, not only are you having to perfect yourself all the time, but you're also picked apart. So what did that teach you, or how did that help you? Because I think women in sports, it's such an important thing to instill almost in young women, because it does give you that drive.
It gives you confidence. So it gives you, people will say like, oh, you're so confident, even when I don't feel confident. And I think that's because it's just a tool that I have in my tool belt that I can come here and sit with you. And even if I felt insecure, when you talk about things like imposter syndrome, I can present as if, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm on stage basically like performing, and this is a character, if you will, even though it's not, this is me. But you know what I'm saying? So it kind of brings you that confidence, that skill set to just handle any situation. And
it also, I mean, you got picked apart by everybody else. You had to have that perfection and stuff like that. How do you handle it if you lose?
I hate losing. I do hate failure. But I'm sure if I hadn't had that background, it would be much more difficult to deal with failure, because, of course, like you get notes on stage like, hey, you didn't look good tonight. Hey, your foot wasn't pointed enough. Hey, da da da. Like you get weighed in on a regular basis when you're a performer. Like you have to look perfect. You have to be perfect. So I guess it can be a double-edged sword, because I do have a perfectionism in my brain where I feel that I always have to be perfect. So I guess in some aspects that could be bad because I'm tough on myself. But in other aspects, it gives me a leg up.
So, I mean, coming from your background, that gave you kind of the tools to survive this. But now let's talk about like being a founder and being something that's more of a disruptor, right? I mean, you're going to taco stands without meat and plant-based. One, how did you have that courage to kind of go through on that? And what kind of challenges did you face as a young entrepreneur coming into this new industry and breaking through?
So definitely for me into this new industry, it's a very male dominated space. So that can be kind of a challenge in itself. So I'll sit in rooms a lot of times at huge conventions and I'll typically be like the only woman founder in a room. It happened to me recently in Nashville. So that's been a learning curve, is just like being confident to say like, I still know what I'm doing, even though I'm here and I'm a woman and I might be the only woman. So that was kind of a challenge at first. But as far as the plant-based space, not a lot of people are doing it, but more and more. And I think where people miss the mark and where we've really done a good job is we've invited everybody to come in and try this food. 75% of our customer base does not identify as vegetarian or vegan. So when you just serve really good food that just happens to be made from plants, then everyone kind of shows up and enjoys it. It doesn't matter what it's made from. Right. So I don't think anyone really misses the meat, to your point. I think it's just done really well. And we had some help. We had some friends and family that helped us with the menu. And we worked really hard to create something that we all felt very passionate about. But yeah, I don't think you miss the meat.
Yeah. And then let's talk about like when that passion met that purpose. I mean, you've had a whole bunch of different, like I said, reinventions, businesses, but they all kind of relate, I think. But when did you really feel like your passion has met your purpose and that, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do and this is where I have a need?
Yeah. I do think that the throughput, like the through line on all of my careers, I mean, with showgirl aside, but has been animals. I've had a lifelong passion for animals, animal welfare, protecting animals. And so when I got into the pet care space, that was a very obvious, next step for me as far as doing a business that involved animals. But then when I exited that business, moving into the plant-based space, it still encompasses all of the things that I'm passionate about with animal welfare. We're just doing it in a different way. So instead of going out and telling people, hey, you should care about animals, we're actually just showing people through food how easy it is to choose this lifestyle and to make more conscious choices. Yeah. So that's kind of been my whole journey thus far, is like animals have always been kind of at the forefront. And, we do a lot of rescue and things. My husband and I, we're very passionate about animals. So it's been like a really fun journey for us.
How many animals do you have?
Right now, we just lost one of our chihuahuas 2 weeks ago. I know.
Sorry.
So we are down to 1 cat and 1 dog. But at one point, we had 3 dogs and 3 cats, always.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot. But my dogs are my world. I miss them so much right now. I mean, like, they sleep with me every night. And that's just, they are part of your family. Your family, for sure. So that's beautiful. So, so you started your business in 2018, the next iteration, and then you had to go through the pandemic here.
I did.
How did you pivot during that time period? I mean, that had to be just a complete switch over,
It absolutely was. So we opened our second Tacotarian in December of 2019.
Oh.
So then basically 3 months into that new store opening, we had to completely shut down because Nevada had a mandate where you could not operate at all.
Right.
Which a lot of cities did. So we closed for 6 weeks completely. We kind of really focused on getting our systems and processes in order. Like, we created a commissary kitchen. We did all of these things to kind of like, when we reopened, we knew we were going to want to scale bigger. So when we did that, we were reliant on, when we reopened, we were reliant on takeout and delivery only. So what we found was that the delivery companies were killing us because they charge you, like Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub, they charge you 30%. So basically when your delivery is only 10% of your income, then it's one thing. But when it becomes 100% of your income, the fees were adding up to more than our rent.
Yeah.
So it was astronomical. So that's when we kind of took action and we went to the county and the city and we said, you have to do something about this. And we fought basically Uber, DoorDash, and Grubhub. They sent lawyers, we went and we testified in front of government and we got that bill passed. So now anytime there's like a state of emergency in the state of Nevada, we will have that bill in place to protect us from like those fees that get gouged.
Yeah, I remember that because like I think there was like other apps that tried to come out, like Toast and a couple of other ones.
We tried our own.
Yeah, because it was ridiculous. In a small business, you can't survive with that, and it was really kind of gouging. So thank you for going to bat for all of your other fellow
Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
I mean,
That's
it
one of
was
the things.
selfish too, but
Yeah, but
but it
still,
was great for everybody.
It was. So so now if something else like that happens again, they can't
charge more than 15%.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, what was the highest that the fees had gotten at one point?
They've charged upwards of 35%.
Wow, that's crazy. And you have food cost and you have all of this.
Labor.
I mean, like, the restaurant industry is razor thin anyways in terms of margins. So I can only imagine how that much affected everybody and stuff. Yeah. No, that's tough. Great. So you talk also as well about being the only one in the room. I mean, you come in a male-dominated industry, and you have a different concept that is not probably the easiest one. So how do we talk about like inclusivity. How can culturally rooted plant-based foods reshape the future of inclusivity in the food industry and create space for women of innovation like you that are like, I guess, bridging that gap and bringing new concepts like that and protecting animals? But how do we bring more of that inclusivity?
Yeah, so I think that was one of our biggest kind of pillars when we launched this concept. It was like, how do we include everybody? How do we make it feel like everyone wants to eat here and not that we're just marketing to the 3%?
Right.
And there's a lot of ways that we've done that. So number one is obviously we're serving really good food. That's the first thing, right? So you want to have food that everybody likes. We also serve alcohol. Something that people like.
Yes.
But a lot of plant-based concepts do not serve alcohol. They don't serve real soda, which sounds so silly. But me, as somebody who's plant-based for animals, not necessarily just for health, I want a Coca-Cola. I love Coke. I just want a Coca-Cola. So like really simple things like that, just having a basis and making people feel like they're included with the brightness of the restaurant, the way the restaurant looks, the plants, the feel, the tile, all of those things have to do with why people want to eat at your restaurant above and beyond the food.
Right.
But then when you take it a step further, we've been really intentional with our marketing. And specifically, we've gotten very community minded. We early on created kind of like this community program where we work with local charities, hyper local charities like our local animal shelter, women's rights organizations, domestic violence organizations. And we partner with them and we created basically a list of deliverables. And this is what my whole TEDx talk was about.
I love that
roadmap of how do you make a profit while still giving back? And that's a system that we've perfected. So we have these viral specials that we do every other month. So they run for 2 months. We partner with a charity we're very passionate about. And both the charity and us, we blast it to everybody. And we send people for this one dish for 2 months. And we raise a ton of money that way. And we've included the cost of the donation into the price of the dish. So the restaurant doesn't lose any money. You actually make a profit, but you're still giving back to that community. And you're driving customers to your business that may have never known about your business, but knew about the charity.
Right.
And vice versa. So it's a really win-win system for everybody. So I always tell other founders, because this doesn't have to be just food. You could do this with skincare. You could do this with any kind of product. And if you tie it back to your community and you really stay rooted in your community, people will rally behind you.
Yeah. And then how do you make that to where that's not, a marketing ploy, but it is really purpose driven, right?
I mean, it is both. It is a marketing ploy, but I think that's okay. I think it's okay to make a profit while still giving back instead of looking at donations like an expense.
Right.
It's okay to still be profitable. Like our specials can drive, $30,000 in revenue for a month. But then we can also afford to give $3,000 to an animal shelter, where if we weren't doing that, we wouldn't be able to afford that.
Right. So it's kind of driving for having a mission and giving back into that community.
Exactly. Tying that to your mission. And then also knowing what charities you care about, what charities other people care about, what are people passionate about, and finding that balance. And then there's other things in marketing that you can do to really drive community. We stay connected with email. We stay connected on social media. We have a huge loyalty program that we've really developed where people become diehard fans because they want to get to, a secret menu item that they can only get in our loyalty program.
Oh, I like that. So it's like a secret menu for each one of your charities or what you're, I guess you're donating to that month, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. That's cool. What are you which one? What's the last one that you ran? I guess.
So the last one we ran was the birria empanadas. So those were like a Mexican corn empanada that were stuffed with our house-made birria and kind of this plant-based cheese, and then it comes with like a dipping broth that you dip in. Another really popular one is our Mexican pizza. So it's kind of a take on the Taco Bell Mexican pizza, but theirs is like this big. Ours is like this big. It comes in like a pizza box, but it's like fried tortillas. And it's incredible.
And then which charity did those go to on each
So the
one?
Mexican pizza goes to the Nevada SPCA. So that's our local animal shelter. It's our no-kill shelter. I'm also a board member there. So it's one of my biggest passions is giving back to them specifically. The birria empanadas, I don't remember which charity, but we've done like foster kinship. We've done cupcake girls. We've done a number Signs of Hope, which is domestic violence and things like that. So yeah, we've done a bunch of different ones.
Well, that's great. That's great. And thank you for doing that. So the next part, we also talk about like our self-care. That's, I think, also very important. Somebody burning the candle like you are as an entrepreneur, you know, and going out there and going day after day after day. How do you refocus? How do you keep that flame going? And how do we, as women, give ourselves grace to take time for ourselves? Like, what are some of your big rituals?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to give ourselves grace because I think we take on a lot as women. I mean, I don't personally have kids, but my sister has a 2.5-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and I see her going to work and then raising this kid. I'm like, how are you doing this? I don't understand. This kid is nuts. But I think that women are typically the head of household. Nowadays, they're responsible for the bills. They're responsible for their kids if you have them. They're responsible for their husbands a lot of times, and all of these things that go into like your household and your life. So it's hard to kind of figure out how to balance that with your businesses as well.
Right.
I'm really lucky that I have a husband. We've been married almost 20 years now.
Wow.
So we met, way back at Mon Ami Gabi when we were 23 years old, and we've been together ever since. So I do have that nice balance where he helps a lot, and we have really a teamwork. We take turns cooking, we take turns cleaning, and we do all those things. So I understand that I'm really fortunate to have that because not everybody does. But I still have to make time for things that are just me. So I've really started in the last 2 years trying to like make more female friends that are in the female founder space. I have a lot of childhood friends that I still see that maybe don't live in Las Vegas, but I'm committed to like travel to see them a few times a year whenever I can to just give myself a break and like completely reset with people who know nothing. I mean, not that they don't know anything, but don't care what I do or don't want to talk about what I do, which is really nice. I try to exercise. I use ClassPass. If you don't have ClassPass, it's great. So I can just randomly pick a day to go to Pilates and say like, okay, I have an hour today. I'm going to go to Pilates, or I'm going to go sit in the sauna, or I'm going to do something like that and try to make time for myself. But I'll be honest, I'm really guilty. Like if my husband would let me, I would just probably sit on my laptop until like I go to bed.
Yeah.
But we try to create rituals. Like we'll make dinner, we'll watch TV, and like we rotate. Like I'll make him watch Love is Blind for like an entire season, or this year I made him watch Love Island. And those silly shows just let you disconnect and like not think about anything else.
Yes, those are, and those guilty. I saw Love Island this time too, and I totally binged it the whole weekend. Somebody told me about it. I was like, why am I watching this? But I was so enthralled. It was so good.
It's so good.
It's okay. You got to take a pause for yourself so that you can recharge to give back to others. I think that's what's important as well.
It is.
So the most important part of Spark Sessions is passing the torch. And that's really kind of what we're here is like what advice we would give someone that's going through a journey like yours to making it to the top. You know, what advice do you give them for themselves to make them know that they're okay? So when you think back of what you've accomplished and where you're at and all the women that you've helped mentor and bring along the way, one, what advice would you give them, and what do you hope they remember about you?
I think advice-wise, I would tell women to learn everything you can. Like, soak it all in. We're so lucky to live in a time where you can learn almost anything you want for free on the internet. It's absolutely mind-blowing what you can learn right now. So I would say keep learning, keep soaking it all in. Find people who have done it before you and ask them. Because typically, when I've asked people who are well above me or far beyond me a question that I didn't have an answer to, they're excited to give you the answer. In the same way that when people come to me, I'm excited to give them the answer. So I guess that's what I'm looking to kind of pass on, is just all of the information that I've kind of collected from different people in different places along my journey. I don't want to be a gatekeeper. Like, I want to give that to people so they can kind of go up the same way that I did.
And I think that's important, the gatekeeper. That's another thing. Is that kind of goes more, I guess, with is how do we uplift others, create that bigger forum, create that bigger table, and sharing that knowledge.
Yeah, and there are organizations, like there's NABO, there's all of these other organizations, but there's also a lot of niche organizations. So when I had my pet sitting company, I found this basically mastermind online, which was like specifically mentorship for pet care companies. And so that was very specific to my niche. So I think it's great to find, and now I'm part of a group called like Women in Restaurant Leadership. So I'm speaking at their conference in February. So it's very niche. It's only for women in restaurants, but I think that's almost better because you can relate so much more to people who are directly in your industry, and you're going to learn a lot more from those people.
What's your speech going to be on?
So I'm on a panel for that one. Okay. So it's about marketing and community-minded like marketing.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's great. But you're right about finding those small pockets. And that's also where you do build that community and you can help uplift others up and share knowledge.
Yeah. And just finding people that are willing to bounce ideas off of, and people, sometimes when you're a solopreneur, it's tough because you don't have anyone to like bounce ideas or tell you no, or like finding people that are willing to tell you no, tell you when you're wrong. I think those things are really important.
Yeah, very important. That's great. So now comes all the easy part, right? Okay. This is now the rapid fire question. The first thing that comes to mind, no wrong answers. Favorite Tacotarian taco?
Pastor taco.
Go-to mantra during those tough days?
Ugh, keep going.
One marketing hack every founder should know.
Build a community.
Yeah, that's a great one. A woman who inspires you.
My grandma.
A vegan dish you could eat every single day.
Ooh. Anything off of our menu.
Okay. One thing you're unapologetically saying no to these days.
Anything that doesn't get me excited.
That's good. What's the favorite? What excites you? What's like the coolest experience you've had lately?
Oh my gosh. Traveling. I love traveling.
Where's the last place you've been?
I mean, we go to Mexico a lot. We've traveled a lot in the US this year, which has been fun. But I mean, we love everywhere. We've been to Thailand. We went to the Olympics last year for Paris, which was incredible.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and Thailand is definitely on my bucket list. And I love traveling. Like, traveling to me is like kind of I call it my therapy. I have to. Yeah.
So fun.
Favorite city you've cooked in? How about that?
I haven't cooked in a lot of cities.
Okay. Favorite city you've been to?
I would say Paris, probably.
Okay. Dream dinner date, living or dead?
You're going to laugh at this. Howard Stern.
Really? Why?
I don't know. I love Howard Stern. I think he's so unapologetically himself, and he's funny and witty, and I don't know. I think it would be fun.
That's good. One thing you always have in your bag?
Chapstick.
Okay. And guilty pleasure? Maybe
Binge
Love
watching
Island.
Love Island.
That's so many of ours. I know. Me too. You're so fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question. And this is one that's kind of like very deep, but what is your one truth? That one thing that keeps you going day after day?
I think a long time ago I would have answered differently, but over the last couple of years I've had so many things happen within my family that I think now my family has become much more important in my life, and I've prioritized. My sister had a baby a few years ago, and that brought us really, really close. Like, I was in the delivery room with her, and I watched that baby come out. It was insane. So I think that like really prioritizing my family and my relationship with my family has become very important in my life.
And that's something that does keep so many of us going and stuff like that. Do you get to see, is it a girl or a boy?
It's a girl. It's a niece. And it's funny, my sister is actually not a redhead, but my niece came out with red hair.
Oh my goodness.
Our mom has red hair.
Yeah.
And it's like a recessive gene, so it's just very random. But she's beautiful. She's got this curly, like little red. She's so pretty.
Oh, you're going to be definitely, I assume, like her second mom, that where you guys are just so tight. That is going to be beautiful raising her.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much for coming here. You are such a light and a fire, and I mean, it's just been wonderful having you, and I cannot wait to see all the successes that you're going for again.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Spark Sessions. Until next time, keep the fire burning.